Hi everyone. I am here with you for Sunday service. Satsang is a word that we have used in our community and my other beautiful spiritual communities over my lifetime. Church is another great one. We come to gather together, and I am offering one of many opportunities in the world to do that by putting myself out here online on Sundays at this time every week. So I'm using my phone today, and last week I apologize for those of you who tuned in over the week and there was some audio glitches. Actually, I think that was on Wednesday. Is anybody else losing track of time these days? So anyways, we are here. It is Sunday service, and I am so happy to be with you. I hope you can hear me okay. If you can, give me a thumbs up maybe. And if you're signing in throughout the week to listen to this or any of the recordings that I'm offering, guided meditations and talks, at least twice a week right now, Wednesdays and Sundays. Awesome. I saw a thumb up, so I'm glad you can hear. And I have to admit, this crazy time that we are in now for well over a month, most of us, this particular unique experience as we have this novel virus introduced into our population globally, and globally, nationally, statewide, household-wide, individually, are all attempting to navigate an unbelievably new level of decision making around how to live, how to be, how to interact with each other, how to deal with our own health, how to take care of each other, how to take care of a lot of people who are struggling and suffering, both as this novel virus gets integrated into our world and our communities. Having unbelievable appreciation for our frontline caretakers who are navigating this and putting themselves at risk of not just this virus, but other things, including sheer exhaustion and overwhelm. The scientists who are trying to figure out what's going on, how serious is this? Is it different in different climates and with different demographics of populations? There's just so many. Our service providers, our hourly paid service providers, our companies that run service providing businesses, essential services, non-essential services, and determining which services are essential and non-essential. The layers to this are unbelievably complex, and every one of us, I believe this with all my heart. And when I say that, it'll make me cry if I talk about how sincerely I mean this. I truly believe every person out there is attempting to do their best to navigate this extraordinarily challenging time with the most sincere and best efforts, with the knowledge and information they have, with the roles that they are in, with the circumstances, and it is so hard, and I see everybody making efforts. And what I wanted to talk about today as we are navigating this, and I am betting and wondering, and certainly having a lot of discussions about the challenges we're each having right now, because there is no one right answer for any part of this that is going to work well and right for every single one of us all the time, everywhere. and that I wish there was. Everybody wishes there was. Every doctor, every scientist, every business owner, every employee, every independent contractor, every essential service and care provider, and everybody who is being non-essential right now. There isn't a one right way for all of us through this. And my medicines, the foundation of yoga, of Ayurveda, of classical Chinese medicine, of naturopathic medicine, of a lot of different systems of sciences, and in fact, empirical science even, looks at so many variables, some of which we can control and some which we cannot, to take each individual situation and make the best decisions we can, and observe, measure, evaluate the outcomes, find flaws, discover new things, and then we adapt and modify, and then we get presented new variables and have to change. And it's so tricky, and I'm leading up to something right now. And that thing that I am leading up to, hi everybody, hi Pamela, hi Tad, hi Mallory, Jen, so nice to see you guys, everybody. What I'm leading up to is I hope you hear me appreciating everybody's individual struggles, appreciating all of the people contributing to helping others right now and doing everything they can, and sincerely believing that pretty much everybody that I know about, even the ones that I disagree with almost 100%, there are people that truly, please hear this, there are politicians, scientists, teachers, healthcare providers, family members, that I disagree with how they're choosing to navigate this from my personal perspectives, my education, my ways, my personality. I totally disagree with, who I am having the most phenomenal conversations with, connections with, and moving through this time and feeling like we are supporting each other, respecting each other, learning from each other, agreeing to disagree. It's amazing. And I their heart is in the right place. Their mind is beautiful. They're processing with what they have and where they are, and I am too. And we're having amazing discussions. I'm sad to say that is not the norm, and my experiences for a long time, because of who I am, which most of you know if you're here. Some part of you must like a little bit of who I am, but I'm often on the fringe. I'm often not of the most popular opinions, and I'm kind of used to that. But right now, boy, it's a hard time. It's a hard time for all of us to hear each other and to see that even our governments are having a hard time figuring out how to deal with this, much less individuals within a hospital setting, school systems, towns, states, nations, the whole world. And what's in my heart today to talk with you guys about is the fact that even some people that I unbelievably love and respect and admire and usually agree with on most things are challenged to have conversations with me right now, or I'm triggering people, and I'm feeling a bit triggered, right? When I try and I see something, it brings something up for me. I want to communicate and express my thoughts, thinking that maybe that's what it's about, especially with social media, that we're able to share with each other and reflect and discuss challenging things. And it's hard. There's a lot of times I'm not being I'm not having success. So I'll take full responsibility. Whatever the other person is coming through with, my intentions is to have these open dialogues, especially around the areas that maybe we don't agree on. And I'm not having total success with that right now. And in fact, I feel like I've really triggered some people and possibly even hurt some feelings. And it's the exact opposite of what I want to do, especially with people who I maybe am disagreeing with on things. Because right now, if we can't figure out how to do that, if I can't figure out how to do that, if you can't figure out how to do that with me or with your family or with your community or in your professional practices or your schools or your governments, if you're a politician, healthcare workers with your fellow healthcare workers, much less with our patients. If we can't figure out how to have these difficult conversations in a really scary, scary time, in a time where, although, in my field, I've been watching people suffering and dying from infectious diseases, and especially those that have cofactors that we've been working on, chronic issues, for a long time. And then a novel virus comes along and it's unknown, and we have to figure that out. And some of us aren't even supposed, that have been trained for a long time to figure those things out, are being told, no, leave this to these other people. And it's crazy and it's hard. And then we each have to figure out what conversations to have, what conversations not to have. Do we try and figure out how to work and make an income to pay our bills, or do we step back and let things fall apart and trust that they're going to come back together? Do we deal with other healthcare emergencies going on? How do we, it's endless, isn't it? It's endless. It's endless. And it's going to stay endless. And if you hear any of my past talks that I've given over the last, years, much less months, I talk a lot about this stuff. I've talked to any of my family and friends and any of my patients and students about these challenges and the likelihood that times like this were coming for decades. So, I'm really in this with you and with all of you, and my heart genuinely wants us all to find ways to connect and support each other through this. Honestly, especially those of us who are seeing different ways through this, and even freaking out about which ones are being chosen and agreeing with them or disagreeing with them. And then, are you with me? Is anybody feeling this challenge right now in your individual lives and how we do this? It's intense. So I titled today, I think, Learning to Fly. And multiple things came up for me, Pink Floyd being one of them, one of my favorite songs, as well as something that I've said in the past, and I don't like to get too political, but it gets hard not to in our world, and in cases it's actually important to. I get that too. So this whole right-wing, left-wing, conservative, liberal, Democrat, Republican, dualistic way of seeing things and what's going on in the mainstream media, and how medicine and money and decisions are being, in some cases, pulled to extremes, is one way I look at that, and why I called today Learning to Fly. Is I have said in the past that the bird needs both its right wing and its left wing to fly. And actually, to fly well, the bird needs to coordinate both wings, as well as its body and mind, and dare I say, spirit essence that pervades all of it, the body, the mind, the wings, and the entire experience. All of that has to get coordinated to work in unison, all while navigating a myriad of external variables: air turbulence, weather, other birds in the air, predators, what are all the external things, viruses. So in order to fly well, all of the systems have to be coordinated. And then that bird has to figure out where it's taking off to, what it's taking off into, and how to navigate all of the external variables, some of them totally uncontrollable. And then when a bird does that, using both wings and its body and its mind, everything, then it's capable of defying gravity. Then it's capable of leaving solid ground and soaring into the unknown. So, this metaphor, the bird in this metaphor can be me, right? I can just think of myself as that bird, my wings, my body, my mind, my external circumstances. It can be you as an individual, you're a bird in this metaphor. How are you navigating everything in your world to get it all coordinated, to figure out how to be thrust yourself away from the solid ground that's pretty much been ripped out from under us right now, and figure out how to fly, how to navigate this. But it's not just us individually. We can also think of that bird as your household, as a city, or as a state, or as a country, or as an organization, whether it's a government organization, a healthcare facility, a school, a church. Anybody, a government body, right? An organization is a body. All of these, we can think of them with this metaphor as the bird and the right wing and the left wing that are attached and absolutely essentially have to be attached to a core where they come together and coordinate. And in that core is a heart and a mind and some really essential organs that help animate and coordinate those wings. It's all necessary, folks. All of it. Even the extreme tippy part of that wing and this wing, all the way to the extremes, the whole spectrum. It's hard to think that. It's hard to think that every single person that exists right now is a part of the body. Can you think of a few people that you just can't imagine that we need, that are a part of this, that their views, they're just wrong. They're just crazy, right? We don't need them. Their thoughts and their views are dangerous and causing us harm, and we'd be better off without them. Anybody feel that way about anybody that you know or that we watch on TV? Yeah? It's hard. Anybody, just a past person in your life that you had to change your relationship with, probably leave. But I get it. I'm with you. I have those feelings too. And if we go into the spiritual teachings of any of the great masters of any time in this world, and we remember what they came here to teach us, we need to have empathy and compassion and respect and consideration for everybody in the bigger body. This is what the word namaste originally meant, is that we look at each other, everybody, every person, and say namaste. What we're doing is acknowledging the sacred seed that exists in every one of us and feeding that level of our connection. Hawaiians come together and share breath. I know that's a scary one to talk about. I can't even believe I just brought that up. That's awesome. But they do. Not right now. Shh, calm down. But we share, we connect. Okay, namaste is a safer one. We think of the way that, if you're Christian or not, whatever, let's take the archetype of Jesus and look at how he behaved, how he treated, and how they talk about caring for the lepers, how he showed compassion, love, and respect to people that literally ended up nailing him to a cross, and what his message still was to us, to love thy neighbor. It's such a hard time to do this, folks. I'm challenged to do it with some people who I usually totally agree with, who right now, every time I try and have a conversation with them, I hurt their feelings, tell them they feel depressed or don't want to talk about it, or tell me I'm crazy. I've been called a murderer lately. It's a crazy time. So it feels a little bit like, I'm trying to fly here. I'm trying to fly as an individual and figure this out, and I'm trying to step into the larger body of beautiful people out there who are all individually trying to fly and collectively try and figure out how to get through this. And we're lacking coordination. We're lacking the ability to come together, to find that common ground, to respect every aspect of this body and the turbulence that we're attempting to navigate. And instead of successfully, in some cases, coming together and make that coordination so all the different parts can exist and come together and do this with some ease and grace, instead it feels a little bit like we got some broken wings right now. So it feels really important to encourage myself. So as I love that as I sit here and talk to you guys right now, unfortunately, all I can see is myself. But there's a real beautiful irony in that. I can see Jennifer and Mallory and Doug and Pamela and, other people here. Let's go Mountaineers, Doug. Absolutely. I am a wild and wonderful mountaineer. I've got friends on here that are, by the way, in places like New York and New Jersey tuning in right now, and close to some pretty intense ground zeros. So thanks for being here with me and holding you all. And so where was I? Encouraging myself, right? As I'm hitting some stumbling blocks in my individual and collective dance through all of this right now, I'm encouraging myself and maybe offering a suggestion and encouragement for each of you to look at how we are each, and hopefully collectively, and with great care and great effort, working with our hearts and our minds and our bodies and our wings to navigate these precarious circumstances so we can fly, so we can get back into the air, so we can accept that the ground does not feel solid right now, and that we need to get into the air and be moving in turbulence and somewhat unknown conditions, and trust our bodies, all of the parts of our bodies, my guidance, my mind, what my heart's telling me, what your mind and heart are telling you. I want to hear it. I do, even if it's so different than how I feel. I want to hear it, because we are sharing this experience on some level, and the more we can share it, the more you're willing to see and hear and feel my mind and my heart and how my body and how my education and my experiences, what I have to contribute, and I want to be open and listen to you. If we disagree, I want to come together to talk about it. I don't want our differences to pull us apart. I want to encourage us to really, again, I say this with great care, with great effort, with great respect for the vulnerable, and reducing risks, come together as much as we can, as closely as we can, to heal and share and grow and navigate and fly. Is anybody else having a hard time doing this in your lives right now? Is anybody else turning on your TV and then getting on your computer and then having conversations and then looking at your bank account and looking at your health insurance and looking at whatever issues you're going with, and not just having the easiest time figuring out how to deal with right now, much less next week, next month, next year? What's it going to be like? We've entered unparalleled precarious times. We are in them right now, and as I'm sure many of you feel, it's probably going to get a little crazier. Maybe a lot crazier. I would love to believe that each of us, at least those of you who tune in and bothered to listen to me ramble on, can make even more efforts to become more connected, less divisive. So important, so challenging. Consider the alternative. Consider the alternative if we keep ripping our own wings out. If we keep calling each other crazy. If we keep deciding that the people that we 100% disagree with have no place in the conversation. Especially if they're in places with a lot of power. How do we come together? How do we find common ground? Consider the alternative. Look what happens to our bodies when we don't make constant efforts to care for all of our parts. When we neglect parts. When we are dismissive of parts. Much less when we start hating any part of ourself. How well does that turn out? How well does that turn out when we do that in our intimate relationships? Within our professional relationships? Within our governments? It doesn't work. It's not working. It hasn't worked for a long time. Not on an individual level with our health or our psyche. Not on any level. I've learned the hard way over and over again in relationships. It doesn't work to become divisive. It just doesn't work. Can we stop? Can we, even with the most challenging people that we disagree with, find a common ground and become less divisive and more inclusive? Because if we don't, we end up with a lot of broken wings, a lot of broken bodies, and a lot of crashes. And I think we could at least all agree right now that we're crashing. Right? And we're trying to get back up. We're trying to fly. In the places that is not going well, I'm suggesting a philosophical, theoretical reason of why and what we might be able to do about it. I hope that's coming across. by using the bird metaphor. And I will, you're all going to be really shocked by this, but I've always kind of been considered an odd bird. Do you know Jonathan Livingston Seagull? I'm going to throw out a book right now, an oldie but goodie. Jonathan Livingston Seagull, Richard Bach. If you haven't read it, go read it. If you have read it, maybe it's time for us to pick it back up and cheer on little odd bird Jonathan and how he figured out how to fly differently than any other bird. They were all telling him he was crazy. He was going to kill himself. And then when he started suggesting other birds try and fly a little differently, then all of a sudden he was trying to cause harm to others, right? So anyways, I've been thinking of Jonathan Livingston Seagull lately, so I offer that up. And as I sit here and say I've always been an odd bird, how many of you have ever felt a little bit like that? I have spent my entire life as a student, a teacher, and a healer of self and others, pretty unwaveringly, actually. Like from little girl, that's how I was wired. I love being a student, I love being a teacher, and healthcare and healing, both actually my first proclivity was towards the spirit as a little girl. I wanted to be a minister, and I taught Sunday school, and I loved going and teaching. So it was spiritual. And then I got interested in my undergraduate degree. I started out in psychology and then shifted to education. But I was interested in the mind, so spirit then mind. And then I ended up learning a lot about physical medicines and taking care of bodies. So whole life, student, teacher, healer, spirit, mind, and body. 24/7. I can't think of a time in my life where that wasn't what drove me. So that's how I'm wired. And for better or worse, I also was drawn to the fringes of spirituality, psychology, and physical medicine. I gravitated towards the less popular, the more esoteric, and the fringe sciences. And I've steeped my entire life in their studies now, and I can't come back from where I am. That's how I'm wired. Many of you love me for that. Others get frustrated with me because of how strongly I stand in those positions. And all of that being said, you all also know I have taken pharmaceuticals. I have had surgeries. I have friends who are MDs. I have best friends that are tech geeks and research science geeks and in the pharmaceutical industry. So I'm not a hater. I'm a lover of all things. I am just wired for the things I'm wired for. They are what I became an expert in. And it took me a long time to even feel a level of confidence in my life's work to say I'm an expert. And even when I say that, a part of me it doesn't like it because I'm still a student. I humble myself and the world humbles me every day with what I know. My mind gets blown every day. Even if I don't leave my comfort zone, in my comfort zone, my mind gets blown every day and I learn more. So I step out of my comfort, and I still step out of my comfort zone. I geek out on the most hardcore science stuff that is not my area of expertise because it helps inform me. I love talking to different people. I'm weird. Because I step out into the world like this and then get shut down hard. And I still feel called. I still feel called on in every way to get on here live and share with you guys. And all of this being said, I don't know how many of you aren't on my personal page. I have this professional page and then I have my personal page. And I really do my best to share my personal opinions on my personal page and leave the Lotus Way, which I am the spiritual director of. I am a minister. I am it's a healthcare ministry, an education center and source. I really do my best to keep the Lotus Way open to everybody and want you all here regardless of whether you agree with my personal views or not. That's so important to me. Well, as an individual, I'm still trying to figure it out. I am still humbled and seeking and working with my teachers. I'm reading things that are popping up as I'm saying this. Tap to invite a viewer to be in your broadcast. I don't know what that means. I hope you guys are still there. Because what I'm saying is, as I unwaveringly commit myself as a student, as a teacher, and as a healer, and to my practices that I am attempting to humbly master and share in ways that are in service to the world. That's what I'm doing. I'm still learning, and I think I've managed to help a good number of people along the way. My patient students, that's what I call those of you who work with me on an individual or formal basis. I think there's a few people out there flying with a little more ease and grace, hopefully, if through our connection. So, that's why I'm here. That's what I do. And everybody is not going to agree with me all the time. And my ways are not going to work for everybody all the time. And I love referring people out to other people in every walk of life that are out there helping and healing. So we all find the right fits. That's how I practice. That's what I love. And right now, I'll tell you, I've always been on the fringes, so right now's not that hard for me, but it's hard because I've been pushed even further to the fringes because my specialties are more in chronic conditions than acute infection. Although I have studied it, I'm fascinated by it. I've at times considered doing it because of just my own lifestyle, personality. I travel a lot. Dealing with infectious disease, I think, requires you to really need to stay in one place and build an arsenal of tools for that kind of practice, and on and on. That's not my field. So I've been pushed further to the fringes as far as being a healthcare provider right now, right? Almost everything's kind of put on hold, even hospitals. Going to be a trigger for some of you, but I've listened to directors of hospitals saying many hospitals are having a really hard time. They don't have almost any cases of COVID coming in certain areas, and the hospitals are in financial ruin right now and really struggling. So I get that I'm not the only person having a hard time figuring out how to make ends meet and provide services that are not deemed essential right now. That's how it is. To right now, for sure, the pharmaceutical and tech-driven systems are predominating right now and in the positions of control and power and have the most financial backing and are the most popular ways to go about figuring things out. And so that I'm pushed even further to the fringes because and by the way, I have tremendous respect for my friends and colleagues that are in the pharmaceutically driven and technologically driven professions and industries that are doing good work, that have good hearts, that are using their minds to help us. Tremendous respect. I am not dissing those professions or industries in their entirety. I do question some things personally. I do. But I have tremendous respect for a lot of going on. They're not my industries. I'm like literally, I'm the like natural. I personally have specialized in natural based, low tech based things, even as I was studying a master's degree in organizational learning and instructional technologies. So I've used computers and I do remote work. For years, I have offered online stuff. I've had Zoom for 2.5 years on my website. So I'm not no tech, I'm just kind of lower tech. But, my profession and the way I work has been totally dwarfed by the higher pharmaceutical, higher tech ways. So that's just how it is. I'm finding my ways to be true to my styles and my studies and my practices, which see things sometimes very differently than the more common, more popular, more conventional systems. It's just how it is. And even amongst my like-minded cohort of more naturally oriented scholars and practitioners right now, there is some significant difference in perceiving and navigating things right now. So it's a time that is so easy to get pulled into divisiveness, even within like-minded circles, much less the situation that I personally find myself in with a lot of my perceptions right now and ways that I would navigate this. So with all of those challenges, I still want to communicate and coordinate. I still believe that, and I actually really believe that some that have been pushed to the fringes might have more to contribute right now than they're being given credit for. And I'm not just talking about myself. And in fact, I know a lot of people that are a lot smarter than me and have a lot more experience that is relevant to what's going on right now that have been pushed to the fringes that would have a lot to contribute that are not getting those platforms and are actually in some really, really difficult situations right now, not being heard and not being respected. And I see places in the world where these other ways and thoughts are being heard and respected, and that's amazing. But what I want to wind us down here with saying is that I hope we can all make some efforts. And if you're making these efforts, yay! And I want to hear the happy stories about how you've talked and navigated your personal challenges right now, whether they're healthcare, finances, politics, how you're living within your house, how you're going grocery shopping, how you're figuring out how we are going to get, I can't even say get back to normal, because that's not going to happen. Can we get moving forward in a way that we start feeling some flow and some, yes, freedom again? Freedom in our hearts and minds, freedom in our communities, while taking great care. I want to encourage us right now to make some efforts to coordinate our internal and our external communications. You guys join me on Wednesdays when we do internal communication work, yoga nidra, guided internal meditation practices, right? So coordinating our internal communications, our external communications, so we can create truly sincere connections, find alignments, and begin to feel some flow, especially in areas where we see and hear and or feel tension. Let me say that one more time. I want to encourage us, especially with people and circumstances and with ourselves, to communicate and connect in ways that help us find places we align and places we can feel flow, especially in the situations where there is tension. Can we, instead of pushing those things down, away, ignoring them, being angry about them, telling them to leave us alone, can we give those areas, those people, and each other, hopefully in both directions, our attention and intention to establish connection, alignment, and flow with each other, rather than division, suppression, judgment. I don't want to say even the more negative words, but let's avoid hostility, violence, bullying, gaslighting, shaming. Can we not do any of that? Even with the people that we really feel a lot of disagreement and tension and discord with, and make some efforts, make it an experiment. Pick the person that's currently on television that you dislike the most, and the person in your personal life that you disagree with the most, and see this week if you can feel, see, and hear and navigate yourself into a place with them where you find some common ground to coordinate and organize around. And then see if you can make that bird fly with those people. I've been doing this exercise, by the way, which is why I came to you guys. And did I post it on this page? No, I think my personal page. I'm going to say his name right now. And trust me, I couldn't believe it. But I picked our president. And I really sat and contemplated something really divisive, that I didn't agree with how he said something, and I don't agree with most of what he says, and certainly how he says almost all of it. And I found common ground. Now, I've done it successfully with a few people in my personal life, unbelievably, actually, miraculously in some cases, and then I have not had success with everybody, but this is my effort. This is what I am inviting and encouraging myself and you to try and do more and more. Pick one popular media figure and one person in your life that you have the hardest time with, and see if you can find that common ground and make that bird fly. Flow, grace, soar, defy gravity, come together. Right wing, left wing, bodies, hearts, minds. Can you do it? If you can do it with one person that's really hard this week, next week try it with two more. I can't wait to hear the stories. If anybody has good stories to share and how you've navigated this. If all of us did this, imagine the world. Imagine the science. Imagine the medicine. Imagine the healthcare systems. Imagine the education. Imagine the relationships, the friendships. There are so many tools. There are so many tools we can use to do all of this. If you don't have tools, if you're forgetting tools, if you can't figure out how to use the tools, if you think I am crazy and it's not possible, I am happy to share. I know a lot of tools. All right, like I said, I am still learning. I'm not perfect. I'm doing a pretty freaking good job with most people, especially those that are willing to do this exercise of nonviolent communication, of peaceful, conscientious, compassionate communication. I'm just having a wonderful time with the people who are willing to do it with me, and even some who are resistant. I'm learning to create a better and safer environment for them. That's what I want. So maybe we can get there, and certainly, not pushing any attempting to not push anyone who doesn't want to go there. I get that too, right? Resistance. None of us can grow if we're not going to do the work. So if you feel resistance to doing these exercises, please don't do it. If anybody you attempt to do it with, it has total resistance, don't put yourself in a dangerous place or a place where it's just not going to happen because they're not willing. It takes us having to make the effort and commitment. And when we do that, and when we choose love over fear, choose open-minded, open-hearted over closed-minded, closed-hearted, miracles happen every time. We grow and grow and grow and grow. We learn, we engage, we connect, we align, we flow, we grow. It happens every day in my life, with my patients and students, with my friends, with my family. And even as I, continue to cultivate these practices and share with wider groups like I am right now with all of you, that's what my intention is, and that's what's happening. We are growing. If you're still listening to me, we are growing right now. We are flying. So we can all express ourselves honestly and receive others' expressions with empathy, respect, compassion, consideration. And ultimately, so we can organize our energies to do that healing and that growing. It's so needed right now. It's needed more than ever before. And it's going to get worse, everybody. I mean, I don't want to say it's going to get worse. We're going to have more. This virus is not going anywhere. It's going to mutate. New viruses will come. Natural disasters are going to happen. Big ones that affect millions of people. Sadly, violence is going to happen. Sometimes in big ways that, again, affect millions of people. None of that is going away. I wish it was. It's not. And it is probably going to get worse. In fact, I don't see a way out of it not getting worse. So it's so much more important than ever for any of us to start practicing this stuff right now with each other, so we can navigate this turbulence, so we can find our way through even more turbulent times. We need to exercise our bodies and wings and figure out how to navigate precarious times, because it's going to get more precarious. We need each other. We need the left wing and the right wing, and all the parts of the wing, the parts that are far to the extremes, the middle parts, and the parts that are really so close in you can barely tell if it's left or right, and then everything that's in the center. It's all needed. So let's acknowledge that in each other. Let's look at ourselves as that dynamic system. Let's look at each other as a dynamic system. Let's look at those people that we have a hard time seeing as part of that dynamic system. And let's find the common ground that we can organize around, so then we can take off and defy gravity and soar and fly in unimaginable circumstances. If you are with me, please give a heart, a thumbs up, share your story. If you need support and help, please reach out. I will be with you every vital breath and physical step of the way. And I sincerely mean that. That is my job. It is what I have and do continue to train for and will do for the rest of my life. And I hope we can do some of that together. We're doing it together now. If you're watching this, if you need more support, please let me know. And especially if you think that we are different, if you have different roles or different opinions, let's work together to find our way to navigate this with some grace. Definitely with love and compassion, patience. I call the people I work with patient students. Let's all be patient, patients, and students, and teachers. Thank you for letting me share with you. I will possibly return this and listen to my own words as I go forward and try and step into the challenge that I gave myself and you all today to navigate, especially those areas where we're feeling divided and confused and like we're not coming together, and find our way to connect and align and flow and grow with those people, with each other, with ourselves. Please let me know how I can help you, whatever you're dealing with spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. I hope that you will allow me to be a part of your healing journey individually and collectively, not only now and this week, but going forward for the rest of my life. I'm with you. I love you all. The Lotus Way is about connecting, aligning, flowing, and growing. So let's please focus on those things together and have a beautiful week. And I will see you on Wednesday for guided meditation. If you need anything or have any questions in the meantime, please reach out. Okay? I see lots of people on there. Lots of love. Hi, Tiffany. Who else before I sign off? So nice. Oh my goodness, too many of you. Hi, everybody. Okay, lots of love.